Hi guys, it's me Charlie, and today I'm going to do a card review on the upcoming season pass and the upcoming spotlight. Okay, so let's talk about upcoming season pass first. Hope Summers. Hope Summers is a very simple card actually. Alright, you play a card and you play a card at that location, you get a +1 energy next turn. Alright, so obviously when we have additional energy, it's always good. When we have cost reduction, we have extra energy, it's always good. Okay, no matter what deck archetype we are playing. I mean, obviously it gives us a lot more option to explore what we want to do. So that is something good. Alright, and unlike Electro, alright, it doesn't have any huge downside. It doesn't, you are not forced to only play one card a turn. Alright. Of course, the downside is that this +1 energy is only for next turn. Alright, so there is a delay, and if you want to trigger it again, you have to play into it again. Okay, but overall, I believe this is a very, very, very strong card. Okay, so I mean, of course, it's a season pass, you have to spend money to get it. Okay, but in terms of whether is it worth it or not, I really think it is a very strong card. Okay, and 3-4, let's talk about the base stats first. 3-4 is not a bad base stats. Let's look at the other 3-cost card where the cards are enablers. Alright, so you have Wave coming in at 3-5. Okay, so it's thereabout. Okay, so of course Wave has a big disadvantage in the sense that your opponent can play, can ramp out their cards as well. Okay, but let's not talk about the pros and cons of their effects. Let's just take a look at their base stats or the enablers. Okay, 3-4 versus 3-5, so it's just one down. Alright. But if we were to compare it against, say, Luke Cage, Luke Cage is an enabler in the sense that it enables you to play certain strategies without fearing about your own board. Okay, Luke Cage is at a 3-4 and it's very reasonable, very good. Okay, Kyra is also at 3-4. Alright, so Hope Summers is thereabout. It's about the same, you see. And if we were to look at Electro, well, it's better than Electro. Electro is a 3-2. Okay, and yeah. So that more or less, okay, Sauron, okay, is also a 3-2. So and Magic, and also an enabler by extending the game, also at a 3-2. So if we were to look at it, 3-4 is actually, I wouldn't say best of the best. I wouldn't say that, wow, it's, it allows you to play beat down. No, I'm not saying that, alright, but in terms of the base stats, it's very solid. Okay, it doesn't cause you to fall off tempo that much. In fact, if we were to really want to explore, sometimes Zabu, Ravonna are played on turn 3 to enable the game. Alright, and I mean there are cases whereby on turn 3 they play a Zabu or Ravonna plus a 1 cost, but there are also many times when players are forced in a way, alright, to play Zabu and Ravonna and that's it on turn 3. So relatively speaking, a 3-4 doesn't lose you that much tempo. It doesn't cause you to disrupt your entire tempo. Alright, so base stats wise is very strong, it's decent, definitely very decent to say the very least. Okay, and when we look at the +1 energy, alright, we don't even have to do any shenanigans. Some people was talking about putting Kitty Pride and then you can trigger it every turn. Actually, we do not. We do not have to. I mean, I'm not saying that these shenanigans won't work. Okay. Feel free to explore, that's the spirit of the game. Alright, but even if we were to do a very simple one, we play Hope Summers 3-4. Alright, next turn we play something there. Maybe we play a Jessica Jones or something. Okay, and on the next turn, turn 5, we can play a 6 cost. Now imagine playing a 6 cost on turn 5. That is already, typically that already wins you the game. That already puts you in a very, very favorable position. Right, for example, I mean that's the entire point of ramp decks. For example, you could be playing, let's say a Now, and then on turn 6 you do an Anim Zola. Alright, now you have 2 Nows, which is very, very huge. Of course, I'm not saying that Hope Summers go in a destroy deck, I'm just throwing out certain ideas. Or, somehow you are in the lead, you could be cheeky about it, you play a leader, on turn 5 you copy whatever they have, and then you Odin the leader. This is a very old school, strategy that I used to like. Alright, but look at it, there's a lot of things that can be done very easily by just triggering it once. That's all. And I believe that can be the best course of action for Hope Summers. Alright, all you have to do is to trigger it once, and then you slap down a big play that gives you a commanding lead. You compile onto it. Right? I mean, that's how Daken is being best utilized right now as well. People just trigger it once, make it a 3-8, and that's it. I mean, it's fun to get taken to a 316, 332, 364, alright, but those are just for, for the loss and all that. Okay, so if you were to look at it very simple, Hope Summers is a very strong card. You just have to trigger it once, and you have already achieved what RAM decks try to do, okay, without all the downside, without being forced to play only one card a turn, without being forced to, have to cement the opponent. Alright, so Hope Summers is a very strong card for sure. Okay, but of course, if let's say you want to trigger it multiple times and doing all that, it's fine. Alright, what I'm saying is, in the worst case scenario, the flaw of Hope Summers is actually that of a RAM deck without the drawbacks. Alright, it's basically an electro without having to throw a cement at your opponent. Okay, so, and it opens up a lot of possibilities. So I believe Hope Summers is definitely a very, very strong card. Alright, if you are willing to spend money on the game, go ahead. I think it's a very, very solid card. Alright, next up is the first spotlight of the new season, Pixie. It's a very interesting card. It's a very interesting card, I would say. But here's the problem. MMM is very, I wouldn't say prevalent in the meta right now. Alright, but a lot of people have MMM the card. So if Pixie proves to be too much of an issue, MMM comes in, Pixie is dead. Pixie is dead. And the most interesting thing is, Pixie is released, sorry, not Pixie, rather MMM is released in the same week as Pixie. So basically, there will be people who are running Pixie also getting MMM, and I just don't know what happens. I really don't know what happens. So I believe it's obviously that MMM will totally hard counter Pixie decks. So yeah, so that doesn't move it anywhere. Alright, having said that, it's a very interesting idea concept. Alright, I believe upon release, and if Pixie proves to be very, very strong, alright, because the potential is crazy. Alright, imagine you shuffle the cost of the cards, okay, and suddenly you end up with a 120 Infernaut. Alright, you skip turn 1, turn 2, bam, it goes down. That's crazy. Alright, or you get a 112 Hawk. That's also insane. Alright, or you get a 1-2 Aliyah. Wow, imagine, being able to play 5 card. Imagine having 5 energy to utilize, and you can still put in Aliyah. So it's a lot of possibility. This card has very, very high ceiling. My only concern is it totally gets killed off by MMM. Okay, and a lot of people already have it. So this card would be a little bit like Galactus in a sense. Okay, if it becomes too strong, the meta will counter it. Okay, and because of the existence of a hard counter, if the hard counter MMM is being brought into the meta, this card is totally dead. Alright, it's dead in the water. There's not much you can do. Alright, so when that happens, people will stop playing Pixie, and then when people stop playing Pixie, people stop playing MMM, and when that happens, Pixie can come back into play. Alright, so that is something like Galactus. Back when Galactus was at its peak of his power in terms of a vacuum, in terms of what I can do, what I can trigger, a lot of people were running debris just to mess things up, throwing one goblin over, things like that. Okay, running a green goblin just to throw it to fill up the lanes and things like that. And that's when Galactus players start to realize, oh man, it's not so easy. Maybe it's just a kind of a, some kind of fluff thing, alright? And then a lot of people, those who were playing Galactus just for the fun of it, just because it seems so easy, drop off, alright? And that's when people stop running these kind of counters, and slowly, the true Galactus players stay on and establish a game plan, alright? And that's what I believe will happen with Pixie as well. Okay, because yeah, I mean, the last time we had something very similar to this in terms of the energy cost, alright, was Loki getting a definite -1 across the new draw. Immediately, as soon as MMM came out, was released, people power on MMM, and Loki basically died. Alright, And only after MMM sort of like, okay, win off a little bit, Loki came back. Then after that got hit with some nerves and all that. And after that, Loki is very, very quiet. Right now, I don't even see a lot of Loki decks anymore as compared to when it was released and during those his season. Alright, so I believe that's the same treatment that Pixie will face. Okay, and I don't know. I think he has a very high ceiling, but it will. I believe he has a high ceiling that can be explored, but it will be hurt by her own success. MMM will flood in, alright, and she becomes pretty much unplayable because MMM basically just hard counters Pixie, right? Imagine shuffling everything, creating an entire deck just to shuffle the cost, and at the end of the day, it doesn't transpire. Yeah, so basically that means you play a 2-1 for nothing, you constructed your entire deck for nothing, your deck becomes very, very awkward. Alright, I don't know how that would work. Right, so that is my sharing for Hope Summers and Pixie. Hope Summers is a definite get. Definite get if you can, if you're willing to spend the money. And in future, if as soon as she comes out available, I really think that she could be even worth straight off 6k tokens, honestly, because energy is something very, very crucial and scarce in this game. Alright, it's very, very scarce, it's very crucial, it can make a world of difference. Alright, so I believe Hope Summers is in fact even worth 6k tokens off the bat next season as soon as she comes into the the rotation list. Pixie, high ceiling, likely to be hurt by her own success. If you really want to get her, I would say that be ready to face quite a fair bit of frustration if you want to play her within her season, within that same season, that week especially. Alright, but as people start to not worry about Pixie, that's when she will actually have a more decent and better time. Alright, thank you for tuning in to my sharing. I believe there isn't much to cover about these two cards because it's quite obvious what will be the impact, what will be the how good the cards are, and what will be the impact, and what are the complications. Alright, so thank you for tuning in. Charlie out. Have a great next season. I'll be waiting for you with you.